Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we'll be learning how to cut an off-shoulder bustier crop top with elastic flay hand. So in this video we'll be needing a piece of material, scissors, chalk, tape, and also our measurements. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe, like, share, and comment. So to begin this cutting, I'll fold my material into two this way in order to cut the front part alone because it has to do with the bustier pattern. So for this cutting, we are going to be needing our measurements like the bust points, the under bust points, our half length, and as well as the area where you want the top to end. So I'm going to begin by taking my measurements, my vertical measurements. So in this case, the off shoulder will begin from 7 normally because you need to remove the front part of the dress, the up part of the dress. So I'm going to begin with 7. Instead of starting it from here, like a full top from the shoulder, I'm going to remove 7. That is why it is known as off shoulder. So I'm going to remove 7 from here, but instead of 7, I'm going to come down, bring it 6.5. Reasons: because when I fold the dress, when I'm joining my clothes with the lining, I'm going to take in some parts, which will now make me to come down with 7 inches. So I'm going to begin with 6.5 because of my sewing. So I'm going to then take my complete vertical measurement. The bust point we are working with here is actually 10. The under busts we have 13. The half length we are working with is 16, and then the top length of the crop top is actually 18, but I'm going to work with 18.5 because of my joining. So I'm going to do this all through so that my line can be extended as Okay, so having taken my vertical measurements, the next thing I'm going to do now is to take my chest line measurements. I basically did not have to join it here because I want to make an explanation on how to get your chest line measurement. So to get your chest line measurement, you are going to say your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. That will give you your chest line. So in this case now, I'm going to be working with 8 as my chest line. So don't forget that at this point, we kept it at 6.5. So here now, I'm going to draw my 8 inches down and connect it so this way. So this is basically all the vertical measurements I'm going to be using for this sewing. So then the next thing I'm going to now do is to take my horizontal measurements. But before that, the first thing I'll take in my horizontal measurements here is going to be my nipple to nipple point. And the nipple to nipple point is usually taken at the bust line, which is this. Don't forget that this is your bust line, this is your chest line, this is your under bust. This is your half length, and then this is the length of the top you are working with. So for this region, I'm going to take the nipple to nipple points, which was measured to be 7. 7 divided by 2, you have 3.5. Then I'm going to also add an extra 0.5 inch to make it 4 inch for my sewing allowance. So here I'm going to mark 4. As you see here, I'm going to mark 4 inch, and I'm going to do that all through this down area. So after that, at my bust line still, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and also go up by 1 inch from this side. So let's measure it here as 1 inch, and other side I'm also going to measure 1 inch. So that's that. So in the center front, I'm going to come down on the under bust line. I'm going to come down by 0.5 inch, which is this, and also trace it down 0.5 down to this point. 0.5. That's for the center front. Then for the side front, I'm going to go out by 1.5 inch I'm going to do that all through. These inches I'm actually taking 1.5, differs according to busts. When you're working with this bust 36 to bust 36, bust 34 to bust 40, you are going to be going with 1.5. But for other busts that is bigger, 40 and above, you are going to be working with 2 inch, taking it out from the side front. So what I'm going to do here is to actually connect this to this part and also connect this to this part. So I'm just going to carefully trace it down as you see me do so, and also connect this way. This is the center front I'm actually connecting. Then this place now I'm going to trace it down to this point down here. So I'm going to carefully trace it down in a curved form like this, and I'll also trace this down straight line as you see me do so. So we're going to have something like this as you see here. So in this up region, at this up region now, I'm going to come in by 1 inch, and I'm also going to go out by 1 inch. So I'm going to connect this now to this very point here. That's the 1 inch that I made above the bust line. I'm going to connect this here and also connect this here as you see me do so. So you can see that I've already connected this line to this and connected this to this, and not to this point, because if you do that, you're not going to get that proper curved shape in breast cup. So I need it to actually go 1 inch above it and 1 inch below, so that I can actually get the proper curve. So after doing that now, I can then impute my horizontal measurements here. So for my bust, this is my bust line. The bust I'm working with is 36. So 36 divided by 4, you are going to have 9 inch plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. So I'm working with 2 inches. I like putting 2 inches for my sewing allowance, except I'm limited of material. So at this point now, the under bust I'm working with is 30. So 30 divided by 4, you're going to have 7.5. So I'm going to put here 7.5, and I'm going to add 4 inch allowance. 4 inch allowance. The reason I'm adding 4 inch because at this side I used 2 inches. At this side I took away 2 inches. This side to this side is 1.5, and this side to this side is actually 0.5. So when you add it together, you're going to have 2 inches. So the 2 inches plus my extra 2 inches for sewing allowance, which I will always add, that's what made it what 4 inches. So I'm going to add my 4 inches here now. So I've already added my 4 inch allowance at this point. So for our waist measurements, we have our waist to be 30. So we're going to say 30 divided by 4, we have 7.5. We're going to mark that there. And then we're going to add our allowance. And we're also going to add these 2 inches that we took from here to our allowance, making it 4 inches, which I'll just mark. So you're just going to connect this way. So at this top part now, I'm going to be measuring out my strap, and to get our strap, we are going to place our measuring tape on the front part of our shoulder where we have our bra handles. So we are going to check the distance between both bra handles. Some persons could be 10, some persons can be 8, some persons can be 9. It differs in every individual. So here I'm going to be actually working with 10 divided by 2. I'm going to have that's 5, and so I'm going to map out my 5 here as you see me do so. So you can see that these 2 points here that I've traced out, I'm going to cut these 2 areas. I actually moved 1 inch and actually removed 1 inch here, making 2 inches. So while I'm cutting out, I'm going to cut out this part, which is 2 inches. So if I cut it out now, you see that I'm going to be shorted of 2. So I need to add that extra 2 inches that I'm going to cut out from here. and then I'll add 1 inch for my sewing allowance at this up part. This part does not need so much allowance because it's the part where you are going to join your flay hand, so you don't need much of an allowance. You just need your joining allowance for the what, flay hand. So that's why I'm going to stop here. So at this point now, you're going to trace it down to your chest line, which is this. You're going to trace it down to your chest line, and then that is all for it. Then you connect this, your line, which is your waistline, this line, now you connect it up so that you can now create your curve line, which is for your hand, your armhole. You can see now I have this is for my armhole. So basically this is what I actually have for the front part. So now to get my sweetheart neck, this is already 6.5. This is already a 6.5. So since it's already 6.5, the sweetheart is around 8. She doesn't want it too deep, so I'm going to just make it 8 inch. So from this point now, I'm going to connect down to this point in a curved way. So I'm going to just connect that, and then I'm going to cut through. Okay, so to actually cut the back now, I'm going to be needing measurements like the chest line, the bust line, and the top lines. I basically don't need under bust measurement because we're not working with that. We're not cutting the breast cup or anything related to the back. We're just needing only the measurements for the bust, the chest line, and that of the length of the top. So here I'm just going to map out my top length measurements. First of all, remember that we are removing 6.5, which because it's an off shoulder dress. So I'm just going to indicate my line first and foremost. I'm just going to indicate my line, which is 18.5 because of the allowance for sewing. So I'm going to map that all through. So after that, next I'm going to do now is to take my zip allowance, and my zip allowance is going to be 1.5. So I'm going to trace that all through. Then I'm now going to continue taking out my vertical measurements, which is my chest line. I told you I was going to make use of 8. Then I'm going to map out my bust points, which is actually 10 inch, and then I also want to connect my half length. So this is basically it for that. So next I'm going to do an impute now is my vertical measure, my horizontal measurements. So I'm going to begin with my bust first. The bust I'm working with is actually 36 divided by 4. We have 9. So I'm going to start my measurement from the zip line. I'm not going to begin from here. I will actually start from here because this is my zip allowance. So I'm going to measure 9 inch, which is here, plus my 2 inch allowance. I'm going to mark that here. Then for my waist region, I'm going to divide it by 30 divided by 4, we have 7.5. So we mark that here. Instead of adding 2 inches allowance now, I'm going to add 3 inches allowance because my 2 inches allowance plus my darts allowance. Remember that this is the back. We're not doing a princess cutting form or any form of cut. We're just going to sew it normal by putting a dart. So I'm going to make it 3 inches. The 1 extra inch is actually for my darts. So I'm going to actually add that here. So I will connect this to this at this area. So I'm just going to do this now. So I've just connected that as you see it here. So for this line now. This is my chest line. Remember to also connect the chest line into this area. So the next I'm going to also do now is to map out my strap points, because I calculated for the strap for the back, for the front. So I'm going to actually calculate for the back. So I'm the strap to strap, I'm going to, for the back now, I'm going to take in 5 inches for the back as well. That's 10 inches divided by 2, we have 5. So I'm going to work with 5 here. I'm going to work with 5 here plus my 1 inch sewing allowance, so, or half inch. So I'm going to connect this down to these points. So I'm going to now take in my cuff. So to continue now, I'm going for my back. I'm going to actually, I don't want my back to just be straight. I want to kind of give it a design. So I'm going to make it in a slanty form. So I'm going to come down by, let's say, 10 inch, or let me 9.5. I'm going to come down to 9.5. Since it's a busty dress, I'm going to pad it. I'm not going to consider bra. Assuming I'm considering bra, I would have taken it up a bit so that the bra does not show. But since I'm going to pad the dress, I'm just going to take it down more depending on how I want it. So now I'm going to connect these points to this down area to stop here. So I'm just going to have this right here. So I'm going to cut through now. So I'm going to split the zip open now. So this is what we have for the back area. So to actually cut the flay hand now, I just need something long enough to give me that flay, because I'm going to put elastic inside. So I'm going to cut the 2 hands simultaneously. So I'm just going to have, this actually is already enough for me. I'm just going to fold it this way. I'm just going to fold it this way. So this is for this part is for one of the hand, and the other part is actually for the other hand. So what I'm going to just do next is to measure the length to make sure that it's actually okay for me. So what I just need here is 6 inches. That's the length of what I want, the length of the flay I need. So I'm going to make it 8 for 1 inch for folding up and 1 inch for folding down, because for the up part I'm going to be putting elastic, and for the down part is to actually fold them out to make it clean. So I'm going to make it 8 inches all through. So I'm going to mark that all through. So I'm going to cut this away. So I have a rectangle that I actually need. I'm going to just split here up because it's already even. So I just need to actually fold it properly into 2 and then split it open. So this is basically what I have here. So what I'm going to do next here is to come down by 2 inches here. I'm going to come down by 2 inches, and I'm also going to take in here by 4 inches. It's actually 1 inch for sewing allowance, and the remaining is going to use to join the arm. So I'm just going to connect this here. So I'm going to cut it out. So while I'm doing, I will actually fold here to actually sew in order to put my elastic, and then when I sew here, I'm going to take the remaining part and attach to my clothes. So if you find this video helpful, please do not forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and also turn on notification to get notified anytime I upload a video in this channel. Thank you very much.